Hello and welcome again to Forever Wild, the environmental education show in Horry County Schools. Today we would like to study a topic that is very close to my heart. As a boy, I grew up along the Grand Strand during the summertime hunting for all kinds of animals and creatures, and that's one reason why I have such a love for biology like we do, and we want to save the environment like we do. If you want to get your children involved, or if you guys would like to teach your kids about life in the coastal zone of Horry County or along the South Carolina coast here, one of the easiest ways to do it is to walk along the beach and actually just go critter hunting. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to go along the beach, absolutely no setup necessary. We're just going to take a few pieces of equipment, very simple, easy to purchase, and we're going to show you guys out there how to teach your kids about some of the creatures that live in the aquatic habitats of Horry County, South Carolina. These habitats also occur from Horry County all the way down, extend all the way back down through Georgetown County, all the way down to Charleston and beyond. So the entire South Carolina seaboard is pretty applicable to this tape, and you can use this for your educational purposes. Come on and join us while we go critter hunting on the Carolina coast. Whenever you go critter hunting with your children or perhaps your class, one of the most important pieces of equipment that you guys are going to have to bring is a 5-gallon bucket. Either you can bring a 2.5-gallon version or a 5-gallon. We prefer a 5-gallon here on Forever Wild because the 2.5-gallon version is about that tall and the fish and the critters will jump out of it. This little 5-gallon bucket right here we got free. This is an old paint bucket. We just scavenged it, washed it out, and it's perfect to hold any kind of critters you might catch. It holds all of our equipment too as well. Let's look at some of those pieces of equipment now. Here's what we have here to catch our critters with before it broke. It was a one-piece net, and as you can see now it's a two-piece net. We were trying to use it this morning. It's an old net from when I was a little boy we got from our condo up here. As you see, that net has a single handle, and it's got very small mesh, maybe a 2 or 3 millimeter mesh in it. It's excellent for catching minnows, crabs, any kind of little creature that you may not trust or know whether it's safe or not to handle yet. It's a good idea to have kids use this first and then have them use their hands to catch some of the creatures with larger pinchers, maybe like crabs and whatnot. It's an excellent way to get kids started in nature ecology, I guess you could say, nature critter hunting. Some other things you really need to bring are this. This is probably our fanciest piece of equipment. Usually $20 to $25 is what it's going to cost you. It's a throw net. I like a 3-foot to a 4-foot throw net, and for a little person, a 3-footer is about the best that you can get. Once kids reach about 4th grade, they have more than the ability usually to throw this net. It's a little bit complicated at first, but if you knew a few simple techniques, you can catch a lot of different animal life out of the ocean using a throw net. It has a very large mesh size. It has at least a 5 millimeter mesh or larger according to state law. It may be even a larger mesh than that. I'm not sure nowadays. The regulations are changing year after year on this mesh net. Check your local regulations before you use your throw net. All right. Last but not least, we've got a couple other items here that are essential anytime you come to the coast. For anybody, even whether you're critter hunting or laying out on the beach, always bring your sunblock. When you bring sunblock out here, it really keeps that suntan in control and that first day lobster burn down to a minimum. We like a 45 sunblock here, rated at 45% sunblock protection. It's an excellent way to make your day a memorable one, not for the burn you get, but for the fun you have. One other thing, we got some water here. Our water, always bring water and drink plenty of liquids on the beach. It's easy to get dehydrated when you're at the coast, so bring that for you as well as your little ones. Last but not least, when you're out on the Carolina coast, if you want to know a lot about nature, we recommend this guide. This is Nature Guide to the Carolina Coast by Peter Meyer, M-E-Y-E-R. That's the author's name. This is an excellent guide to all of the life that we're going to be talking about on this picture show today. A lot of what we do out here comes straight from this book. It's just read out of this, and we basically read it back to you, the audience. That's what we're doing. It's not really hard to do. You can do it just like we do. Come on out and enjoy it and learn something about nature and learn with your kids. Peter Meyer, Nature Guide to the Carolina Coast. as you come along the ocean edge, we are here at an inlet, where a section where an inlet comes to a point, which is where it enters the ocean. It's one of the most useful places of life for life in the sea. It's one of the most advanced places for life. One of the places you're going to see the most concentrated life along the beach is anywhere you find this water coming out into the ocean. As you can see it here at our feet, you're looking at all of these algae and different layers of seaweed and things kind of flowing by with the tide. As you see right now, the tide's going out and it's flowing toward us. A lot of these little bits of algae and whatnot are what the basis of our food chain is. This algae feeds a whole host of creatures. And right now we're going to go along with this net and we'll see if we can catch a couple of these critters that feed on this algae and are going up and down this beach right now looking for this kind of food. Let's see what we can catch. Looks like we got a mole crab right here, if I can get him. There we have it. Okay. There's a little mole crab. As you can see in this sand, trying to dig back into this sand, is a little creature about 1 inch long, shaped like an egg. A lot of people call these things beach fleas or sand fleas or a number of different other local names, but it's really a little crustacean that lives in the sand called a mole crab. Mole crabs are really unique. They have got a fantastic set of digging instruments on their body right here. As you can see, the front claws here are actually modified to be diggers, and they push their way into these sands, and a little black piece of their telson or tail here may flip the sand out as he's going down and in. The head of the mole crab, what we call in most species, the head, you know, most species of crustacean have head, thorax, and abdomen. The head of this thing is actually what looks like to be his tail. He always travels in reverse. He's trying to climb in reverse all of the time. His eyes are located on little bitty stalks on the back of its tail right there. One of the best ways to show how a mole crab digs is to take some wet sand, put it in the palm of your hand, whoop, and drop him into it. And as you can see, whoop, the little crab just dug right into the hand right there, into the sand. It's a good way to show the kids the adaptations that these crabs have for living in areas that are in between where the wave action is, okay? That's called the intertidal zone. That's where these guys live, where the waves pitch back and forth day in and day out. The way they feed is when they dig in, they have a little siphon tube that sticks out of their tail end that will actually filter feed, much like many of the other species of bivalves that are on the coast. A bivalve being a clam. I'm going to throw him right here in the sand, and maybe you can get a good shot of him climbing into the sand. Here you go. You ready? I'm going to put him right here. See if we can catch him. Right here in this little sand pit. Let's dig us a sand pit. Great way to show kids is dig you a little, or have them dig the sand pit. They love digging sand pits. Okay, dig us out one. We're going to lay him right there in that soft sand. He's going to go, oh, I'm back. I'm free. Woo. He's digging in. He's got a little filtering action going there. Whoop, he stopped because I touched him. You can see it start to filter. If I touch right there, you see him filtering. You got to get very close. You'll see a little jet of water coming out, and that's the filtering action of that little crab sucking in algae and things like that to be able to eat as well as breathe through that little tube. For those of you fishermen out there like good bait, these make excellent bait for sheep's head and many other species that feed on crustaceans in the ocean. Think of a crustacean as no more than what a insect is on land, a crustacean is to the water. Over 75% of all species of animals in the water or land are crustaceans. They fit in that category of crustaceans, which have hard exoskeletons, jointed bodies, and jointed legs. Let's put them back. All right, see you, buddy. Well, here we have a piece of green algae called codium, or dead man's fingers. Dead man's fingers is a very unique long filamentous algae, or seaweed like a lot of people call it, that has got the ability to capture a lot of little sand creatures that live in the sand here called hermit crabs. These hermit crabs actually were not caught by the codium, but they're hitching a ride on them, and they're getting food from this creature right here, food from this little seaweed, by picking it off with their little hands or their little claws, and they're chewing it up. Here's a shark's eye shell that has been inhabited by a hermit crab. Hermit crabs are one of the more interesting creatures in the area because they go along the beach and they hunt for shells that are unmanned or maybe have another hermit crab in them, and they'll either evict the other hermit crab say, "Get out of there, I want that shell." Or they'll come along and they'll find an empty shell and they'll use that empty shell. That's another way nature recycles, by reusing its resources. They'll use the shell of this gastropod, which is a big snail called the shark's eye snail. This guy here is really a beautiful creature when the shark's eye is alive. It's lost a little bit of its color now that it's gone the way of the goonie bird. Let's see if we can put him in my hands here. I'm going to try and get this little hermit crab to come out. Let's put him on the sand. Can you see through the water with that camera pretty good? All right, let's put him on this sand right here. Let's let him watch. Let him run around. They're very quick when they come out. They're quicker and a little more deceiving than you think they would be. Their eyes are on stalks, and they can rotate those stalks to see 365 degrees. See him climbing along down there? Now, what he's hunting for when he climbs away and he feels like he's in no danger is he's hunting for dead things, detritus in the water. They're very much a recycler in our system. They fit the role of scavenger in our ecosystem. That is a hermit crab in a shark's eye snail shell. Beautiful creature. And one of the more comical creatures if you put them in a little aquarium with some salt water to show your kids. This is a great place to show beach erosion actually happening, taking place right here before our very eyes. Here you can see a section in a salt marsh or the end of a tidal creek that comes out here in the ocean. That the sand is being swept away in these holes, and it's creating these holes, little potholes that creatures live in. If you're looking for creatures along the beach, it's one of the best places to find little oases, I guess, and you could call that a big sandy desert of life at low tide. All these little holes in here are going to contain a tremendous amount of creatures here in the next couple of hours when the tide gets low. Tide runs on about a 6-hour cycle, roughly. So in another 3 hours, this is all going to be land we're walking on here, except for these little potholes that are all going to hold water, and they're going to be little oases holding those little bits of life there. And it's easy to catch for kids. A great place for kids to explore. Bring your kids out and see what's in them. Now for one of the most unique ways to catch fish along the Grand Strand, and that is using a throw net properly. Okay? To use a throw net properly, you need to know the parts of the throw net. First, you have what's called the lead line, which is in my hand here, that has a hoop around the top for putting your wrist through. Then you have what's called a bell that attaches all of the net to the strands of monofilament fishing line that go through to the slider. This little black piece up here is called the slider. The bottom here has got weights all the way around the bottom, so we're going to be calling it the weight section, the bell, the slider, and the lead line. For those of you guys wanting to know, what you do is you take that hoop of line out here on the end of the lead line and you pull one loop through the other loop, so you're making an adjustable loop for your wrist. Now I'm right-handed, so I'm going to hook it around my left wrist. You take that and you run it across your hand back and forth, kind of like a mountain climber does. This keeps the rope from tangling when you throw it, just like this, back and forth. Or you can wrap it around if you'd like to. You grab the bell with your right hand, you pass it to your left, you hold the bell, and now you've got the bell and the loops of lead line, and you grab one section of weighted line and you pull it up and attach it around your left thumb if you're right-handed. You grab another section, run it up one more time, attach it around your left thumb. So now you have two sections of lead line, and in this hand, a bell weight in the lead line. In your left hand, in your right hand, all you have is about probably however far out you can reach on the lead line. Attach it, just grab it right there, pull it back like you're throwing a pizza dough, I guess is the best way to show it. Pull it back like this, and then just let it go. Let it go out in front of you. Let's see how it works. I'm going to take it, I'm going to pull it, kind of sway it back, and then come around like this and throw it. Now it can get tangled in anything, and it's kind of frustrating to learn how to do it first. You throw it out, snatch it back. And here we have some fish we caught. We were lucky on our first throw. Now here's a pinfish we caught in our throw net, and this guy here is called a pinfish because his needle-sharp dorsal fins are like pins, and they can stick you very, very easily. As you can see, he's got a spot right behind his dorsal plate here where his gill cover is, his gill flap, and he has got large pectoral fins, side fins on him right there, so he's very mobile and agile, can turn side to side. He's got a very large tail fin that allows him to shoot through the water and catch his prey or avoid predators. This is like a brim is in a lake. is what a pinfish is to the ocean. Fills about the same niche in the ocean, eating all kinds of little invertebrates as well as vertebrate animals primarily. Whoa! And they are kind of dangerous if you try and pick them up. Pick them up from the belly. All right, we're going to let this guy go. Toss him back. A lot of times you're looking for a V trail in the water. You'll see a V coming behind the fish, and then you shoot out in front of them because they're so fast. We're trying to catch mullet men, and they're very fast swimmers. We got a bunch of them. Here we go. Now, this is probably the most popular bait fish along the Carolina coast, or one of them for sure. This is called the mullet minnow. These guys swim along and they feed on plankton in the sea. They get pretty large. They get up to about a foot, foot and a half long, about like this. But the mullet breed and the little babies hatch out in here, and by the end of the summer, this guy was probably hatched this spring, they get about this size. We're here right around Labor Day this year, so this is the end of the tourist season at the beach, pretty much, except for you golfers out there mostly. If you look at here, that is a mullet minnow. The shape of that fish being very long, he's adapted to be extremely fast swimming. He's got a V-shaped tail that makes him extremely fast. I mean, these guys here can swim 35 miles an hour underwater, which is faster than any human being can run on land, really fast. An herbivorous fish, herbivore right here. Neat. Ooh. Woo. Some things about a fish are you can tell where a fish eats by looking at his mouth. If his mouth is on the end of his body, right at the very end, like a bass, like a largemouth bass, means he can feed top and bottom. He's kind of a good top and bottom feeder. This guy's got a subterminal mouth, kind of a little bit on the bottom, so he feeds more in the water column looking forward or down, generally speaking. That's how you can tell. Very unique adaptation for survival there. Mullet minnow, super. Excellent camouflage too, being dark on the top and light on the bottom. They call that counter shading. Counter shading, a cryptic or a camouflage color pattern. All right, we're gonna throw them back. Along the coast, there are many beautiful species of fish, and one of the most beautiful ones along the beach here is a species of killifish that people commonly refer to as the elephant minnow. And this minnow is a very special species and one kind of close to my heart. They're one of the funnest creatures to catch in the surf. They have the ability to swim down the coast, or swim down the side of the where the water meets the land right on shore. They swim usually less than 4 to 6 inches of water, and they bury to get away from predators. I'm going to get a male out of this little hole that we've caught with our throw net. We're going to get him out here, get a male out. And there's the male killifish. As you can see, he has extremely bright anal fins and pectoral fins, as well as adipose fins, the little fins in between. And he's got an orange tipped tail, a very bright orange tipped tail. He's also got an extremely dark black spot on the back of his dorsal, lower back portion of his dorsal fin. Super adaptable creature, can live in very low levels of oxygen in the water, live in very hot water environments, and they are adapted to live in salt. Some species of killifish live more in fresh water, but this one particularly loves fresh saltwater environments, and you can find them along the edge of the coast. Okay, we have got Lene here and Allie, and they are from out of state, and these two guys right here are fantastic. These little ladies here have been catching all kinds of creatures and critters using their little net. Have you guys got your net anywhere around we can show them? Yeah. Your little wooden net? It looks similar to this one right here, doesn't it? We just use this one to show the audience, but it's a little longer, isn't it? Yeah. What did you catch here, guys? Ladies, why don't you show us what you caught in your bucket? What's that little special thing you got?
A blowfish? Yeah.
A blowfish? Can you show him can you show the audience out there what he does?
He just blows up.
He blows up? What does he feel like? Has he got a special feel to him?
He feels prickly.
Kind of prickly? Anybody want to pick him up? Y'all can pick him up, let him blow up in your hand if you want to. You be gentle?
Yeah, I'm getting
okay. Here, you can help me pick him up. You wanna pick him up? I'll put him in your hand after he blows up. You can see he's got little teeny tiny fins. And he's not very mobile, but he lives off like little seaweeds and stuff like that out in the water. We're gonna pick him up.
We didn't find him in seaweeds.
You did. Was he just floating along nice and slow?
Yeah, he was floating around in the water.
And if you actually get him a little bit, you know, kind of shake him around a teeny bit, not too much where it hurts him, but if you kind of move him around a little bit like that, he'll start to suck in a whole bunch of water. Like he's sucking in a huge bit of the ocean. Like if you could drink a swimming pool, that's what it'd be like. Okay, let's see if we can do that. You think we can get him to drink? Did he blow up when you caught him?
Yeah.
Was he blown up? He was real fat?
Yeah, it's like
That fat? I don't know if we can get him to do it. Now, he usually blows up one time and that's it. They're kind of a one-shot deal. We'll kind of blow him up here. I'll tell you what. Well, you're going to have to take our word for it. We can't hurt him too much. We just want to see if we can get him. Okay. Here you go. You want to hold him? Anybody want to hold him?
Okay.
Come here and hold him. We're just going to hold him out for just a minute. Okay. Here you go, sweetie. Well, hold your hand up. Be real careful. Okay. Right there. And what does he feel like?
He feels like he has tickle spines.
And prickly and tickly on your hand?
Yeah.
He's neat, isn't he? Beautiful. He's got a camouflage, too.
Okay.
There you go. It's cool. You can see his gill flaps opening on the side. Look at that. There's little holes in the side. That's where he brings it. Oh, look at him starting to blow up. Look at that. Oh, he blew up with air. That's what he does. He's upside down. He's got to turn himself over. I thought he blew up with water. Look at that. He blew up with air. Look at that. Wow, that is really cool. A lot of people call these things a burr fish if you look in the handbooks. But, man, that is like a prickly Christmas ornament. That's exactly what that thing looks like. Here, you hold him one more time? Feels different now, though. I tell you, he feels like a little spiky hedgehog. There you go. You got it? That is too cool. That is too cool. Isn't that neat? You can pass him off here.
You want to touch him?
You sure? It's all right. You do what you want to do. We'll do as much as you can. That is too cool. Lene, how about you put him back in the water? You want to fix the boy? There you go. You got him? And when you drop him in, watch what happens. Blup! He goes up on his belly. It looks like a little ping pong ball. It's about the size of a ping pong ball. Isn't he cool? They're going to dribble him. And he'll start sucking in water and burping all that air out and everything, and he'll right himself. He'll flip over and start swimming around again. Neat. Well, in here in our net, everybody, we've just caught a little blue crab. Now, this blue crab is probably last year's hatch. It's just now gotten big enough to swim around and do a lot of catching of good-sized minnows on his own. He's about 1.5 inches wide, and he's got fantastically sharp claws that can pinch the living devil out of you, so I'm going to be real good, real careful. And come back. Get a hold of him. All right, let's see if we can get him. The best way to hold a blue crab, little ones or big ones, is to hold them by their claws. I've heard a lot of people say hold them from their carapace on their bellies. Well, they can still reach around and get you. That's a myth. See here, he's got bright blue on those pinchers, and when they're juveniles, those pinchers will be super blue. When they get older, they get about 5 times as big as he is right here, and they can really lay a hurting on your big toe if you are to step on them. So make sure you jump if you feel anything move. Under his belly there, we can see he's got a folded back telson from many, many years of evolutionary history. And his eyes are on movable stalks, and he can see 365 degrees. He can pull his eyes in little sockets on the side of his head for protection. And he's sitting there blowing bubbles out of his mandibles, which are his mouth parts there. And these big claws in the front are modified walking legs that can be super good pinchers. If he loses a leg, his leg can actually be broken off by himself. If a creature tries to grab, say he grabs a claw, like I'm grabbing one of these claws right here, he'll break one of them off and run. The reason why is because he can regenerate with the next 3 or 4 molts where he sheds his exoskeleton there, or his shell. He can regenerate that claw into a brand new one. Really neat little creature, the blue crab, the Carolina blue crab. Beautiful. We're going to try and show everybody out there in the audience what a blue crab does to evade his predators, to get away from his predators. We're going to toss him out here, and he thinks we're a predator, so he ought to do his thing. Now, he's going to run a little bit. He's going to get his bearings. He's going to go, I think I'm pretty safe, after he sits there a minute and catches his breath. And when he does, you'll know it. Watch what he does. See him back into that sand? And he just pushes a little bit of water out. He's sitting there right underneath the sand now. And there's 2 things he can do when he's in that position. That's his little hiding and attack position. He sits under the water like that, and when a minnow comes by, he reaches up and goes snap with his claws and catches them. Or if you come by and you're walking with your feet, let's say we're walking down the beach and we walk near him, he can pop up and he can zoom out and he can throw those claws out and say, "Ah, I'm bad, don't mess with me," and he'll run and he'll swim away from you. Go back, buddy. Go back. Look at him. Whoop, whoop. See ya. Bye. Bye. Oh, you're about as bad as you smell. Go, buddy. Well, everybody out there, this is one of the most important topics that we're going to cover in today's show, and that is something that everybody needs to look at and take a really hands-on approach to helping combat, and that is litter on the beach. Here along the Grand Strand and along all of the South Carolina, as any beach that you go to, there is always the presence of man-made litter. Anytime you see man-made litter in any form, you need to pick that up and pick up at least one or two more items that you all your stuff back, plus one or two more items of litter, and our beaches will be clean for everybody to enjoy. Now, when you come to the Carolina coast, make sure you bring all of your litter off the beach that you bring with us. I know a lot of people out there like to fish, and fishermen ought to be one of the people that, one of the groups of people that sets the example on how to take care of the environment, because they rely so much upon that for their recreation as well as their food. Obviously, a fisherman has left some fishing line here. Anytime, if you're a fisherman out there, anytime you take line off of your reel, make sure you ball that line up and put it in your pocket, because this stuff can get, monofilament fishing line can get wrapped around the body of a bird or wrapped around many different animals in the ocean and cause them to actually get choked to death or die. It's a very common problem in the ocean now. It attributes for a lot of our trash problems. So if you see this line, ball it up into a ball, put it in your bucket or in your pocket, and take it home with you and deposit it in a trash can, or better yet, in a recycling bin. Monofilament fishing line can be a great way to catch fish. It can be very dangerous to wildlife. Last but not least, we need to talk about the dangerous currents in some of our inlets along the beach and what you can do to avoid some of those currents. The first thing you need to do is you need to obey all of the signs and rules around the inlets, which are nothing more than outlets for water to come out of or back into a marsh. They'll go into at low tide and out of at high tide. What these things do is they create rip currents, and what a rip current can do to somebody if they try to swim, say, from this point here over to this island in the background. If you're to swim over there right now, which is almost peak low tide, you may be able to make it out there once safely. But if you stay over there for more than 2 or 3 hours, that tide can come in so quickly and that current can go so fast through there that you can be caught up into that. Especially with little kids, make sure that if that tide is flowing at a fast rate or even flowing at a medium rate, to keep those small children on the beach or no deeper than knee-deep on them, no deeper than knee-deep than the children. These areas are very deceptive. They look wonderful to swim in, but make sure around any of the Carolina inlets where they enter the ocean, on these points, make sure you be careful in the swimming area. I would recommend going up at least 200 to 400 yards above the mouth of an inlet to swim to be a much safer possibility for your sunbathing and swimming adventures while you're coming to the Grand Strand beaches. Enjoy taking your kids out, have fun critter hunting. Make sure you teach them at home. Parents, you parents out there, you're a big part of this educational loop. Make sure you take a hands-on approach to it. Get your kids out catching these animals and teach them all about whatever you can. Buy a book or two, educate yourself about it. What you learn to love and what we learn and love to learn, I guess, is something we can protect forever for our future generations. For Forever Wild, my name is Ben Roadkill Abercrombie. We'll see you next time. Thanks for going critter catching on the Carolina coast.